need you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because what I'm about to show you genuinely messed me up. The Simpsons, a cartoon, a show about a yellow family in a fictional town, has been predicting real-world events so accurately that people are starting to ask serious questions about how this is even possible. And look, I know what you were thinking. Yeah, Simpsons predicted Trump. We have heard it. But this is different, because these are not old predictions that kind of, sort of, maybe matched up. These are things that are actively unfolding right now in 2026, like as you are watching this video. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you are going to be looking at this show very differently. Let us start with the one that nobody wants to talk about: war. In the classic episode Simpson Tide, Homer accidentally fires a nuclear missile into foreign waters and nearly triggers a full-scale global meltdown. And then, in a completely separate episode, the town gets breaking news that America and China have officially declared war on each other. At the time, people laughed it off. Classic Simpsons being ridiculous, right? Except here's where it stops being funny. In late February 2026, the United States and Israel launched a massive, coordinated wave of military strikes directly on Iran. They called it Operation Epic Fury. Midnight attacks, underground nuclear facilities, the whole Middle East destabilized overnight. Iran immediately fired retaliatory missile strikes across the region and shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is basically one of the most critical oil and trade routes on the entire planet. Russia jumped on live television, issuing direct warnings to the West. China started raising its military readiness levels, and the internet completely lost its mind over talks of a global draft. We are sitting here in 2026 with nuclear readiness climbing back to Cold War levels, and The Simpsons literally showed us this exact scenario playing out decades ago. One wrong move, one aggressive political decision, and the whole thing spirals. The show warned us. We just thought it was a cartoon. Okay, so moving on to something that hits a little closer to home for most people watching this: jobs. In the 2012 episode Them Robot, Mr. Burns decides that his human workers cost too much money. So what does he do? He fires almost every single person in the plant and replaces them with a full fleet of advanced robots. And there is this one line in the episode that genuinely haunts me. The machines literally tell the remaining workers, "You will train them and they will replace you." In 2012, that felt like a dark joke. In 2026, that is basically a corporate memo, because here is what is actually happening right now. In just the first half of 2025 alone, nearly 78,000 tech jobs were wiped out directly because companies adopted AI. Amazon announced cuts of 14,000 corporate jobs and explicitly told shareholders those roles are being replaced by AI agents. Not restructured, not relocated, replaced. Oracle, Block, major banks, all doing the same thing. Goldman Sachs put out a report saying AI could affect over 300 million full-time jobs globally over the next decade. Wall Street banks are actively planning to eliminate 200,000 entry-level roles just to save on payroll. And the most brutal part of the whole thing is exactly what the episode showed. The workers who got laid off are now being told to go learn AI, so they can train the very systems that might eventually take their next job too. The Simpsons nailed this one so hard, it is actually uncomfortable to watch that episode back. Right, so this next one genuinely gave me chills when I pieced it together. In the Simpsons movie from 2007, there is this scene where Marge is trying to calm Lisa down on a train, and she says, "It is not like the government is listening to everyone's conversations." And immediately the camera cuts to this massive underground bunker where thousands of government agents are actively monitoring millions of phone calls in real time. The joke got a lot more serious in 2013, when Edward Snowden leaked classified NSA documents proving the government was doing exactly that: mass surveillance. Millions of people's calls and data being collected without their knowledge. But here's the part that most people missed, because it happened just weeks ago in 2026. The Trump administration went to war with tech companies over using artificial intelligence for domestic surveillance. Anthropic refused to let the Pentagon use its software to spy on American citizens and got banned from all federal contracts basically overnight. But then hours later, Sam Altman from OpenAI swooped in and signed a massive deal to supply the US military with advanced AI tools. And when the actual contract language got exposed, it showed the military could essentially use the AI for mass dragnet surveillance on ordinary people. OpenAI employees went into full revolt over it, and Altman reportedly told his own staff in a closed-door meeting that they simply do not get a say in how the military uses the technology they built. What started as a cartoon gag in 2007 is now a very real and very active fight happening between the most powerful tech companies and the most powerful government on Earth. Okay, I need a quick second to talk about this one because it is so stupid that it somehow became real, and I love it. In the 1998 episode Lard of the Dance, Homer realizes that used cooking grease from fast food restaurants is worth actual money. So he drags Bart into this ridiculous scheme where they sneak around Springfield at night, siphoning old oil out of restaurant fryers and dumpsters. It was meant to be the dumbest crime the writers could possibly come up with. Low stakes, absurd, completely ridiculous. And then the real world caught up. Because of the global push for green biofuels, used cooking oil became genuinely valuable, and organized criminal gangs started driving unmarked tanker trucks to restaurants in the middle of the night to steal it. The FBI are actively hunting grease theft rings right now. Restaurants have put heavy padlocks and security cameras on their grease bins. The term grease bandit went from a 90s cartoon punchline directly into real police reports. Grease theft is costing American businesses up to $75 million a year. Homer Simpson was ahead of the criminal curve by over 2 decades, and honestly, fair play to the man. Now this one will mess with your head the most. In the legendary 1997 episode, The Springfield Files, Homer claims he saw a glowing alien in the woods. Nobody believes him. The FBI shows up. The whole town panics. There is a massive cover-up. It turns out to be radioactive Mr. Burns. But the episode was not really about aliens. It was about how the government would react to real, non-human contact. The panic, the denial, the shady cover-up, the way ordinary people get laughed at for even asking the question. Fast forward to right now, and high-ranking U.S. intelligence whistleblowers have literally testified under oath before Congress that the government is actively hiding recovered non-human spacecraft and biologics. Not rumors, not conspiracy theories, sworn testimony in front of Congress. NASA formed special UAP investigation teams. Declassified footage keeps dropping. And every time someone asks a direct question, the answer from officials is always vague, always evasive, and always leaves more questions than answers. The cartoon reaction Homer got when he tried to tell the truth about what he saw. That is the exact same reaction real whistleblowers are getting right now. And if full disclosure actually happens in 2026, those scenes from the Springfield Files are going to feel less like comedy and more like a documentary. This one is short, but it is so accurate it is actually scary. In a 2006 episode called Homer's Paternity Coot, Homer climbs into a tiny one-person submarine to hunt for treasure at the bottom of the ocean. No certification, no proper safety checks, just a rich adventure and a dodgy little vessel. Things go wrong fast. The sub gets wedged in a coral cave. Oxygen starts running out. A red warning light is flashing in his face, and he loses all contact with the surface. Sound familiar? Because in June 2023, the OceanGate Titan submersible went missing while diving to see the Titanic wreck. 5 passengers, all of them paid a fortune to get in. The sub was operated using a cheap video game controller and had never been properly certified for deep water use. It imploded, killed everyone on board. And then, in late 2025, the National Transportation Safety Board released their final official report, confirming the Titan was doomed by faulty engineering and a carbon fiber hull that safety experts had flagged as dangerous years before the dive ever happened. Homer's cartoon submarine disaster from 2006 matched the real-world investigation conclusion almost point for point. The billionaire thrill seekers, the untested equipment, the ignored warnings. The Simpsons did not just predict the disaster, they predicted the report that after it. And then there is this one from 2025, which honestly feels the most inevitable of all of them. In Treehouse of Horror 36, the show aired an episode called Plastic World. Earth is completely buried under mountains of broken bottles, food wrappers, and old toys. Lisa walks through hills of rubbish with a group of survivors, trying to find actual soil to grow food in. Homer and Marge eventually emerge from glowing toxic waste as smooth, shiny plastic people who can eat plastic and convert other humans into plastic too. By the end, almost all life on Earth has become plastic. Now here's the real-world version of that episode. The OECD released a report confirming that global plastic waste is on track to almost triple by 2060, and less than 1% of it is expected to be recycled. But it gets worse than just the environment. Scientists have now found microplastics inside human blood, lungs, liver, brain tissue, and even in placentas. We are not just living around plastic anymore. It is literally inside us. And the United Nations Plastic Treaty talks in Geneva in 2025 collapsed without a deal because major oil-producing countries refused to agree to any limits on production. Another round of talks is expected later in 2026, and experts are calling it one of the last real chances to stop production from doubling again. The Simpsons made it look like a horror story. Turns out, it is just a Tuesday. And look, the scary part is not that The Simpsons got lucky. It is that they keep getting it right, over and over again. Drop in the comments which prediction freaked you out the most. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos, and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.